without further ado, I just wanted to let you know that each one of the candidates will have 3 minutes for their opening comments. And then we have, as a community, 4 questions. And we're allowing a minute and a half for each one of the questions. And then the candidate will have 2 minutes at the end to sum up. So, without further ado, because I know a lot of the candidates have some very tight schedules, the first on the agenda is, hold on. Oh, that's right. Before we move forward, and I got over my skis, I apologize. If you'd please join me in pledge allegiance to the flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. So, no, that's fine. So the first candidates are for the California Assembly District 63, Bill Sally, as well as Fazia Rizvi. So, without further ado, I would start with Bill Selly. If you would give your opening 3-minute comment.
Sure.
Here's the mic.
Appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us. It's always a great to be able to speak to constituents directly and answer some questions. By way of introduction, my name is Bill Saley. I'm a lifelong resident right here in Corona, California. Grew up. I'm the son of immigrants, first generation. I grew up and spent most of my career in public service. I was a prosecutor here at the Riverside County District Attorney's Office, prosecuted state local crimes, and then I was a federal prosecutor at the U.S. Attorney's Office, working on what I call real crimes, not political crimes. We prosecuted cartel, as part of the drug diversion program, so we went after doctors and pharmacies for prescribing opioids. We went after major fraud. We went after criminal illegal aliens. That's the type of work that we expect the Justice Department to work on. And that's what I did until 2018. The first time I stepped down to run against Assemblywoman Cervantes, who casted the breaking vote. Her vote is what allowed the gas tax to pass, because they needed 2/3 vote. So she was our member at the time, representative, and she passed the gas tax, and there wasn't a single person willing to run against her. So I stepped down. I can do that. I stepped down to run against her because she's not representing our interests. I mean, growing up here, we all know traffic, commuting is just it's a part of our lives. And when the state imposes something like a gas tax, it's very onerous and it's regressive because it really punishes the working people the most. So I ran the first time. We did not succeed that year, so I'm running again. It's a new district. It's a conservative district. It covers the communities of Corona, Norco, Lake Elsinore. We got Canyon Lake, and then so it's a pretty large district. It's conservative. And my issue, you guys will tell me when I'm out of time?
Yes,
Okay.
that's
Got 1
yes.
minute. So my issues I'll be focusing on in Sacramento is, number one, the government should be working for the people, not against the people. That's their duty, that's what they should be focusing on, not telling us how to live our lives, but to make our lives easier. And they should be focusing on, number one, making California affordable. Cutting taxes and regulations, which are driving costs up. The Inland Empire suffers more than any other county in inflation. Our inflation numbers are about 9%, whereas 7% in other areas. So cutting the cost of living. I want to improve education. Our schools need to be educating, not indoctrinating our kids.
Yes.
And lastly, public safety. We have to put violent and serious felons, criminals back into prison and stop letting them out. So with that, I look forward to your questions. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Next, Kim. Oh, okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Fazia Rizvi. My family and I have lived in Corona for 23 years. Born and raised in Karachi, Pakistan. I moved here at the age of 16, learned how to speak English, finished high school, went to college, became an engineer, started a business, and moved here to raise a family. I've been a PTA mom, very involved in the community, in the interfaith work, and currently serve on the Western Municipal Water District, where I serve on 6 committees, including Western Riverside Regional Wastewater Authority. During the pandemic, I started a nonprofit called For the People Task Force. In the early days of the pandemic, I was able to bring critical resources and masks to our essential workers, our firefighters, police force, and our senior citizens to the city of Corona. And the project got so big that we were able to provide these resources to all the major public utilities throughout the Inland Empire. While doing that work, I realized that food insecurity is a real threat in our communities for our school-going children, for teachers who couldn't go to school. There were so many families that were suffering. We started doing food drives. We were able to hold 110 food drives. We gave out 35 million pounds of food and have served 35,000 families, 50,000 families through the Inland Empire. And that project has now become a food bank where we are able to help small nonprofits and churches who do not have these resources to be able to give food to their membership. And I am running for California State Assembly because throughout my work in the community, I know the need of what is going on with our veterans. I provide services. I provide food to the March Air Force Base pantry, and I've seen what is needed there. Not only food services needed, the mental health services. Our veterans are really suffering from that. To bring those resources is why I'm running. I'm a small business owner, so regulations can be very hard on us from the state, so want to be a representative and from the business community at Sacramento to find solutions for what is needed for us. Thank you.
We will now move forward to a minute and a half for each question. There's 4 questions, and we'll start with Bill Asali. And the first question is, why are you interested in serving as an assembly member, and why are you the best choice?
So I grew up in a relatively good environment. I mean, I was lower middle class, grew up in Corona, but I had a relatively good childhood. It was a safe community. We had good schools. I went to Garrettson, Corona Fundamentals, attended high school. Crime was under control, and life was better. As I grew up and I looked around, our society's gotten worse, not better. And my parents left a third world country, and I don't want to see California turn into a third world country. In Lebanon, they don't have reliable electricity. Now California doesn't have reliable electricity. So I'm very concerned, and I want to give back to the country that's given me and my family so much. So I stepped down from my career to run, and I believe that we need people in the legislature who've got real world experience. A lot of people in Sacramento right now are activists. They have a political or social agenda, and they've never worked a real job in their life. Most of them work in nonprofits or activists, or they work in government, and they believe that makes them qualified to make decisions for how we run our state, how businesses should operate, etc. So we need people with real experience. I'm shocked to learn that if elected, that next year I'll be the only former prosecutor in the entire state legislature. That's just insane to me when they made such consequential decisions about public safety. They're also wrong in so many issues. The gas prices are out of control. Rather than, time? I'm going to cut the gas tax.
Question for Fazia.
All right.
30 seconds.
So drought and water issues are the biggest issues facing California right now. And that is something that is where I work with the desal plant. I've been a consultant. I know water issues. I serve on the Western Municipal Water District. We have taken this initiative, Solve the Water Crisis, to take our needs for storage and demands for water to the state level. And who could be better represented than me to find those solutions? But I have seen it for the last 2 years. Being in trenches with the community while COVID was happening, finding resources for that. When the city of Corona did not have a COVID testing site, I myself got trained and performed 3,000 COVID tests myself to our seniors for the community, to making sure that our community is safe, is going back to normal life. And I have been in the community, in the trenches, and that is why I'm running, and that is why I'm the best person for this job. Thank you.
The next question is, what is your plan to eliminate traffic congestion on the I-15 corridor? As well as your plan to improve our infrastructure, specifically road repair and road expansion in the Temescal Valley?
So my biggest thing is the toll gates, right? I really think that has taken our traffic, has made it worse. And that is not good for our communities. So as a legislator, that is something I really want to see, how price gouging, how these corporations are making money of our regular community members. So that is something I'm looking to do. Also, bringing infrastructure funding. When we talk about, as a legislator, we can write laws and we can bring funding. So the biggest part would be bringing funding for infrastructure projects within the city.
Thank you, Buzz. The same question to Bill, and do you want me to repeat it?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Traffic on the 15, I'm quite familiar with it. As a prosecutor, we have something to look into, something that's called investment fraud. You make promises and assurances that you get money in return, and you never intend to fulfill it. That's SB1, folks. The gas tax was passed with the promise that it was going to solve our traffic problems. They're going to build roads, it's going to fund new construction, shovel-ready projects. None of that has happened. Since then, they've actually made their priorities clear. The head of Caltrans said the days of building new freeway lanes are over. They don't want you in your cars. They want you in a bus, in a train, on a bicycle. So this is part of their social engineering agenda. They want the congestion. They want the toll roads at $20, $30 because they believe that's the only way you'll drive less. So we have to replace the folks up there making these decisions. We don't have a money problem in California. We have a $100 billion surplus. It's a priority problem. They don't care to solve the problem. So we need to use tax dollars, existing tax dollars, to fund new roads, free roads, not toll roads. And if California is not willing to do it, I plan to work with our members in Congress. Congressman Calvin will be an appropriator, and we will get those funds, and we will do it anyway. So that's my plan.
Thank you. I'm going to hit you with the next question.
Yes, sir.
So the next question is, what is your plan to address the Blue Water Renewable Energy Storage Project, formerly known as LEAPS, or the Lake Elsinore Advanced Pumping Station?
Well, I know there's been a lot of money that's been allocated to this project. Where's the question?
Blue Water. Yeah, what is your plan to address the Blue Water Renewable Energy Storage Project?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not familiar with that project, but I can tell you when it comes to water infrastructure, we have allocated propositions with billions of dollars available. And my understanding, the reason these projects aren't getting off the ground and moving is because of the environmentalists in the state do not want any projects to go forward. They use CEQA and other environmental laws. So it's not a ability. We know how to do these projects. It's not a money issue. We have the money. But it's these environmental laws and regulations that are holding us hostage. I say my sister lives in Dubai. We don't have droughts. They don't have droughts there. They have desalinization plants. There's glad to hear that they approved one today. But we need to do a lot more. We got to do it quickly. And they need to waive CEQA like they waive it when they want to build the Sacramento Kings Stadium. They need to waive it for priority projects and infrastructure. So whatever project it is, I will work with our local communities and try to expedite them as much as possible. Thank you.
Ozzy, the same question. Thank you so much.
So climate change is impacting us faster than we are realizing, right? So the projects, we need to really, really come about these shovel-ready projects and move forward with that. The idea is how do we streamline our CEQA processes are very important, and to work at the state level to make sure that these projects are ready to go and be able to bring resources, technical expertise to bring about the district is what the plan is. I've been working with, at the water district, when it comes along, we can be pushing for the process.
Okay. Hopefully we sit down. Thank you so much. Next question is, what will you accomplish that will directly impact the Temescal Valley community and its residents?
So, making sure that the traffic, which 15 is horrible. Coming here, it took me 45 minutes from Corona, so that's something that I'm working with cities. Mayor Westby is our representative on our CTC to make sure that those projects, those lanes that are supposed to be built, we have funding, we are ready to go. That is going to be my priority, making sure that we have public safety infrastructure here. I've been just endorsed by California Professional Firefighters, so working with them to make sure the wildfire is something that's happening in our community to make sure we are preventable and ready.
Bill, you can say a question.
Good question. Well, we already hit on traffic, so I'll talk a little bit about public safety. Because when I talk to people, they do talk about crime is up, property crime, quality of life crimes. So we have to prioritize public safety again in California. The biggest problems is going to be reforming Prop 47, 57, and AB 109. For decades, California has not kept up with population and built sufficient prison beds space. So when they were finally forced to do something about it by the courts, their solution, rather than building more prisons, was to let prisoners out of prison. And that is why you have seen the escalation in crime. It starts off with a little crime and it quickly escalates to serious and violent crime, which is what we're seeing now. The homelessness issue is also directly connected. When they pass those initiatives, they decriminalize drug use. You can use methamphetamine. Methamphetamine is the worst drug on the street, in addition to fentanyl. But when you see homeless people that appear to be having mental health issues, that's usually drug-induced psychosis. So that's why you're seeing people
30 seconds.
on the street doing that. So we have to force them into treatment. We cannot continue to allow people to live on the street, unhoused and suffering from late-stage mental psychosis. We got to get these people into treatment, and if they don't want to go voluntarily, then we got to take them anyway. So I will be focusing on public safety, working with our sheriff, Chad Bianco, our district attorney, Mike Hestrin, and being a voice for that community up there.
We invite you to stay here.
Okay.
And this is at the point where we do the 2-minute wrap-up.
Yes.
So if you would.
Okay, well, I want to thank you all. You have a clear choice this November. California's in the wrong direction. Our lives are worse off now than they've been in a long time. So if you want to keep going the way it is and keep electing the same folks in the same party, there's a supermajority in Sacramento. It's the Democrat Party. There's not a single Republican that's made a decision in the last 10 years in the state. So if you want to try something different, I encourage you to vote Republican. We have a website up. It's called thecaliforniapromise.com. It's very simple. It's going to be our agenda. We want to fix affordability, homelessness, crime, public education, water infrastructure, and fire safety. We're going to be focusing on those 6 issues, laser-like. Encourage you to please share that with people. We know that if you guys vote, we will win, we will be successful. The biggest threat we see this November is apathy. People staying at home not voting. So please, tell 5, 10 people you know to look into the issue, visit thecaliforniapromise.com, and get them to vote. Whether it's in person or by mail, they need to vote. So please, all this mail and noise is not as impactful as you having a direct conversation with someone. So please have that conversation, particularly if you know anyone in the minority community, Hispanics. Hispanic communities are conservative, and they are now moving to the Republican Party. So please encourage them and talk to them, and we welcome people from all backgrounds and races and socioeconomic classes, because we are now the party for the working class. I look forward to representing you in Sacramento next year. Thank you.
for giving me the opportunity to be here. As I have been your representative at the Water District, I have attended all the meetings, know the issues at hand, and I'm looking forward to serving you. What Sacramento needs are community members who are true to themselves, who do not lie to get elected, who vote for themselves, for their interests, not people's interests. I've been in the trenches. My opponent, unfortunately, does not live here. He does not know the issues of what's going on with the district. He, unfortunately, did not vote for himself in the primary election. We need honest and truthful people in Sacramento who can go and fight for their communities, and that is what I'm planning to do. This is what I've done. I have a proven track record for doing so. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of our democracy. Thank you.
I want to thank all of you for some great presentation, great information. And we really appreciate you taking time.
Do I get to respond to a direct attack?
No.
This was advertised not as a debate, and so
Right.
I did not impugn.
Right,
But
right.
I do take umbrage with those statements. I'll just say, you can talk to me after, I will be here, I'm happy to talk to anybody.
And thank you for that. We're not going to take many questions.
It's not a question.
Go
I
ahead.
have a point of order. California is a republic. The United States is a republic.
Okay.
He's talking Democrat.
No, thank you for
It's a
that.
republic.
Yeah, we're, okay,
Look at your constitution.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
And
That's all.
that's fine. I want to thank both of you for coming. And with that, we want to move on because of the time to our next candidate who is running for the California Congressional District number 41, and that is Bill Rollins. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know, we did invite Ken Calvin to this meeting, so you know. Please. There'll be plenty of time once we conclude. We did invite Kevin Calvert to this meeting. He was unable to attend, but Bill is able to attend. So thank you for attending. And like you've seen before, 3 minutes for your opening remarks, and then we'll go to questions.
Thank you. Happy Thursday to everybody. What are you doing?
Good.
How about that goose at the Dodger game last night? Anybody else see that?
Poor dude.
Look, my name is Will Rollins. I know there's folks in this room who voted for Donald Trump. That's half my family. I come from a family of Republicans and Democrats. Grew up wanting to work in national security because my grandparents served the Coast Guard during World War II, came back to Southern California, lifelong Republicans, started a small business that still operates today, makes parts for US fighter jets. Really wanted to enlist after 9/11, watching the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapse. Being about 16, 17 years old, thought about joining the military, but in my case, one big problem, closeted gay kid, against the law to serve openly, scared of being outed. Didn't give up on my dream of serving in counterterrorism, so eventually made it to Columbia Law School, worked for a couple federal judges, and got hired to join the Justice Department. Loved being a part of the team that helps protect this country from the threats we face overseas. And look, I prosecuted some of the people who attacked the US Capitol on January 6th. That's part of the reason I got into this race. But I know there are people in this room who think that they didn't. I know there are people in this room who love Donald Trump. I know there are people in this room who, and by the way, when I was at the Justice Department, I volunteered to help the US Secret Service protect Donald Trump because I respect the office of the presidency, even though I don't agree with Donald Trump, even though I think he was a big problem for the country. But I respect the fact that there are people in this room who voted for him. And I want to earn your votes because that's what this democracy is about. And I see people in this room wearing Team Calvert shirts. And you know what? I want to earn your votes too because I respect you. I respect your perspective. But here's what I saw after January 6th that I think all of us in this room can agree on. Adversaries like Russia and China trying to divide Americans against each other. And no matter who you love, whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, all of us love America, right? This country is about more than one president. It's about more than Joe Biden. It's about more than Donald Trump. I am in this race because I think we need a new generation of moderate leaders to unite Americans together to confront the challenges that this country faces in the 21st century. And I look forward to taking your questions tonight.
To you is, why are you interested in serving in Congress, and why are you the best choice?
So look, I got into it for the reasons I just said, but there are some other really serious problems that I think are facing this district. And by the way, some of these are really big bipartisan problems. And I want to start by talking about corruption, okay? Because this is a bipartisan problem, but it is definitely affecting this congressional district. I am running against a guy whose net worth has increased up to $20 million since he was first elected in 1992. And how has he done that? Fox News will tell you how he's done it. Chris Wallace did a 7-minute segment talking about Ken Calvert's corruption in the mid-2000s. You can Google this, and he walks you through it. And look, there are Democrats in Congress who have been trading stocks on inside information. I think this is a bipartisan problem that all of us should come together and try to solve. So what do I want to do? Well, I want to ban all members of Congress from trading stock, period. I want to strengthen the rules on dark money and corporate contributions. I don't think our electorate should be bought by corporations. And I think that you need leaders in Congress who are actually going to be focused about delivering more for your wallets than their own. And so I think that's a huge part of solving this crisis that we're facing in the country. Let's get some strong anti-corruption rules in Congress, right?
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Before the other candidates, but what is your plan to eliminate traffic congestion on the I-50, as well as your plan to improve the infrastructure, specifically road repair and expansion of the Temescal Valley?
So I think another area where all Americans can agree, Republicans and Democrats alike, we all hate traffic, am I right?
Yes.
So the truth is, I think we do need some additional federal infrastructure funds in this congressional district, and we need somebody who's going to fight for them, not vote against them, and then take credit for the projects.
Ken already did.
So we got to look at that, right? And I encourage everybody to do your own research on this, because I'm, again, running against somebody who voted against infrastructure projects and then lied to all of you about what he actually got done for the district. You can Google this later. So fixing the 15 corridor, widening Bundy Road in Menifee, trying to actually get some public transportation into this congressional district, get high-speed rail to the Coachella Valley, because guess what? A lot of that 15 corridor traffic, that's people commuting down to the Coachella Valley, which is now part of this congressional district. And what we need is a federal representative who's actually going to fight for those dollars to get into this congressional district so that all of our traffic can get reduced. So that's my plan.
What is your plan to address the Blue Water Renewable Energy Storage Project, formerly known as LEAPS?
So here's an area where Team Calvert and I actually agree. This is not good for our congressional district. Hopefully with the votes of some of the Team Calvert folks who are here tonight, I'm going to stand against that project because, look, this is a huge, huge issue for wildfire risk, right? And there are alternatives to what this organization has basically just tried to rebrand as the Blue Water Renewable Energy Storage Project from what it was before. And so we need a representative who's aware of that attempt to rebrand it. We need somebody who's actually going to step up and fight against it to make sure that Temescal Valley is safe, to make sure wildfires don't spread through our communities, to find some clean energy alternatives to this. Because the reality is, Our climate is at a huge risk. Everybody who lives in Riverside County knows that every year, year after year, wildfires get worse and worse and worse. The Coachella Valley is going to become uninhabitable with climate change. So we also got to try and create some incentives for private businesses to come in and actually start building clean tech technology for the 21st century. We can do that with things like the Salton Sea, the largest lithium-ion deposit on Earth. Extracting that, getting that into some new technology, creating those higher tech, high-wage jobs for manufacturing. That's how we save our planet and grow the economy at the same time, which is what my former boss, Republican Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, who I worked with out of college, that's something that I really admired about him, and it's an area where I think we've got a lot of room to improve.
Thank you. What will you accomplish that will directly impact the Temescal Valley community and its residents?
So I want to end by saying, going back to what I said in part at the beginning about my grandmother who served in the U.S. Coast Guard during World War II, because there are a lot of women in this room tonight. And I promise you that the number one thing I will do for you is protect your freedom to control your own bodies. If you don't know this, Ken Calvert voted in 1995 for a national abortion ban with no exceptions to save the life of a woman. He made that. Look, and by the way, I come from a Catholic family.
It doesn't matter if you're perfectly safe.
And look, I respect.
Please let the candidates speak. Please.
Let me tell you, I do respect deeply.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
You notice we're being quiet.
No, I appreciate that. And look, I respect that people have really strong views on this. I respect your faith. I promise you I do. I respect it. I come from a Catholic family. I promise you I respect your personal religious views on this. But what I'm telling you, and where we may respectfully disagree, is on whether the government can use the power of law to force people who don't agree with you to do something with their bodies that they don't want.
It's a safe
That's where. Respectfully, I don't see it as that. I understand that some people may see it that way. I respectfully do not. I think that it is up to women and women alone what to do with their own. Government, look, this is a small government.
And to kill the babies.
Look.
What's your opinion about this?
What we're going to do, he answered the question, and I'll give you 2 minutes to summarize. Thank you so much. But please, we have a large agenda, and we want to get as much information from the candidates as possible. And we want them to speak. We want them to speak.
I respect that we've all got passionate views, right? And there's a lot of this on the left and the right in this room. And that is what makes America exceptional. It is. And what's helpful is when we have constructive debates, where we can still embrace each other, even if we don't agree on everything. And I promise you that no matter what your political party is, I want to work for you. I want to hear from people who disagree with me. I want to have those debates because they remind me of the debates that I have had in my own family, with my pro-life family members. You know, these are not easy issues for people. I respect that, you know? And so, no matter what, when it comes down to our congressional representative, I hope that we can all agree that the person who has the privilege of walking into the United States Congress and representing us in the House cares more about your wallet than they do about his own. And I'm telling you, somebody who has made $20 million in 30 years in the US House by using inside information and our tax dollars is not fit to serve in the House of Representatives. I will fight to lower your costs. I will fight to pass those anti-corruption rules that will apply to members of Congress in both political parties, and I will fight to deliver for our communities in Riverside County. Thank you, everybody.
Candidates for California Senate District 32, and Kenneth, Brian Nash, as well as Kelly Sarah. So, we'll start with Brian, and then I'm going alphabetical, so we'll start with Brian with his opening comments, 3 minutes.
Hi there, so my name is Brian Nash, I'm running for California State Senate 32nd District. And just so you guys are aware, this area is a massive area. It runs from Yorba Linda south to Temecula. It cuts through Menifee on the east side, then it basically goes out to Anza-Borrego State Park. So a huge area, huge diverse group of people with a diverse group of needs. And I think that I can actually help bring some really solid change into this area. So a little bit about me. I grew up outside of Flint, Michigan. My dad. So I appreciate your vote already. Well, we'll see. Right? So yeah, grew up just outside Flint. My dad ran a trucking company with my grandfather. My mom was a teacher and then a principal. So I come from that background of understanding small business as well as education. And I'll tell you right now, education is my #1 priority if I was to deal with it. We are the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world, depending on what metric you look at. And as far as our schools go, we are in the bottom 20% of the U.S. It is a shame, and everyone suffers for it. Everyone suffers for it, whether it be the teachers and the people who work at the school because they're not making enough money to be able to live in the communities that they serve. The students suffer because they're not getting the robust education that they need to be super ultra competitive out in the workforce right now. The communities suffer because they don't have the talent to fill the jobs that we need to be able to be the amazing community that we have the opportunity to be. And that is where I come in, is to be able to help give resources to our communities to make sure that our educational system is what it is supposed to be. And that doesn't just mean STEMS courses, right? Everyone talks about wanting to get into the program, wanting to get into math, science, those sort of things, but it's not really everyone's path. So I also want to make sure we have amazing trade schools available for people as well, so that we have the best welders, the best sewers, the best people that do their nails. They'll look at my nails and probably freak out, but it is what it is. I want the best people in our community to serve us going forward. And this touches on everything from climate change to safety to a multitude of other things. And I look forward to talking to you guys tonight about the different ways we can kind of work through this together.
Thank you. Thank you.
So good evening, Temescal Valley. It's great to be here. I realize you have a separation before I thank you guys. And you have different issues than some of the cities, more filled out cities do. I am Kelly Ciarto. I am a native of Southern California. I grew up in the area up in Laverne, and then I lived in Pomona for a little bit, and then 31 years ago, my wife and I moved down here to Murrieta. That's where we set up shop. We set up shop there because it was a growing city, had great school districts, it was really safe. And so we proceeded to raise our 3 daughters there. And we still live in the same house that we moved into 31 years ago. And my wife she has a small business. She does taxes. And so I get a big exposure of what's going on in the tax world from her, but also understand the rigors of the small business. My entire family, they are all teachers, every single one of them. My mom, my dad, my stepmom, my stepdad, a lot of teachers in my family, and on all levels of education. So education is something I do understand in great detail, and I get a lot of feedback on that. As far as experience is concerned, I spent 35 years in the fire service. I served in all areas of LA County, all the way up to the level of battalion chief. I retired in 2015. And when I retired, I decided to get back involved in the city. So that brings up that part of it. From the political and local agency experience, I was on the Murrieta City Council for a total of 13 years, starting in '97 and then kind of ending in 2020. And that's when I got elected to the state assembly. And so I've been in the assembly for the last 2 years, and I've learned a lot while I was up there. And we'll probably talk, as I'm answering some of these questions, you'll find some of that out. Education-wise, I have a bachelor's degree in fire protection administration, which is something that is going to be helpful for me, especially in addressing issues of our communities in this district. I also have a master's degree in public administration. My goal really is simple. It's to be helpful to people. And that's what my office has been for the last 2 years. No matter how you vote, if you voted for me, you voted against me, you wear a blue hat or a red hat, or somewhere in between. We're there to help people, and that's what we did. When COVID struck and everybody lost their job, a lot of people couldn't access EDD. My staff did 2,000. We helped 2,000 people get through the process so that they could feed their families. So that's just a little bit about some of the things that I have to offer. The big issues are economy and inflation. They're killing us right now. And gas prices are just an example of that. Keeping our community safe. And thank you. So anyway, I'll wrap it up. But those are just two of the things. We'll talk about the other things in just a minute.
Kelly, before you leave,
Oh,
you're gonna get
that's
the first,
right.
you're gonna get the first.
You get the first question.
Let me say the first question might be.
Yes, I think you probably have seen this one before.
Yes.
So why are you interested in serving in the state's, I'm going off.
Senate, yes.
State Senate, and why are you the best choice?
Well, number one, you need somebody that is passionate about this area, that understands each of the uniqueness of every single city and all the unincorporated areas in Riverside County, especially western Riverside County. And that's what this area is made up of. But it also has cities up in Chino Hills, Yorba Linda, and Norco. And those cities I am also familiar with because those are cities that I lived right near and watched them grow. I sat on a lot of the regional boards and commissions, so I have an intricate understanding of our transportation issues and a lot of the other issues that are impacting us here. We are unique. We are not LA, we are not San Francisco. Their solutions do not work out here. And you need somebody that understands that so that we can convey that to people up there. And the committees that I all sat on, I sat on Housing Community Development, I sat on the Natural Resources, just a whole bunch of those things. So you need people that are knowledgeable about the area, that have some experience in this area, and there's nobody that's running in the Senate, in the 32nd Senate District, that knows this region better than me.
Thank you. Same question. You want me to repeat it?
No, I think okay. Yeah, so there's a multitude of reasons. We talked about the education piece already, but really when it comes down to it, is I want to live in a community, I think all of us want to live in a community where we feel safe, where we have a place to live, where we have a place to work, where we have a home and a roof over our head. And I think the concern that I have kind of goes back to everything you just said a few moments ago, with the idea that you've been doing these things for 13 years, 14 years, 30 years, whatever it may be. If you talk about working in the housing commission, how's our housing situation looking right now? I don't think it looks particularly great throughout the entirety of this district. I just went to Idlewild over the weekend, and they're having a short-term rental stoppage for the time being. It's a 45-day one, but because the people that actually live and work there can't stay there. And that is a massive problem. And this goes through all sorts of different things. This goes with the homelessness issue. This goes with the drug issue that we have. And when we have someone in office that doesn't understand what a safe use site is, and the positive benefits that something like this can actually have for our communities, it's something that we really need to look at differently. And I think that's the big concern here. We're looking at an older way of doing things, and we just live in a new world. And I want to make sure that we have infrastructure. We look a little later for every call,
yes,
right? I want to make sure that we have all the things that not just are remnants of the past 50 years, but I want to be looking ahead to the next 50 years and what that looks like and what it looks like for our children, our grandchildren, and everyone above and beyond that. So if you want to understand why I want to be in this race, it's because I'm looking to the future.
Thank you, Brian. Before you leave, I'm going to segue into the question, which is a great segue. What is your plan to eliminate traffic congestion on the I-15 corner, as well as your plan to improve the infrastructure, specifically road repair and road expansion in the Tenscale Valley?
So one of the first things I can tell you is that when I first got into this race, I had talked to someone who had been running in a similar race north of here, closer to LA, and we talk about LA is different than here, and of course it is. But what happened is they flipped that seat. They went from Republican to Democrat, and they got a massive flush of cash. And what that did is help build roads, it helped fix bridges, it helped make our infrastructure in that area better. And what have we got here, right? We have aging roads, we have roads that aren't wide enough for the traffic that we have. We certainly don't have the electric vehicle infrastructure that we're gonna need if we're gonna meet this goal by 2035. And I can see you shake your head, but here's the thing. We have 12 years to do that. 12 years ago, this thing held 20 songs. This was not something that was imaginable 20 years ago. And my point is that if you have the people in place to build the workforce that we need to actually make these things a reality, I find that sort of thing to not just be something exasperating, I find it to be something that's inspirational. I think that that's what we should be looking for, is how do we actually grow beyond the things we're doing right now? I'll say one last thing about this. We talked about Flint a little bit earlier, right? So what's Flint known for? Or what was Flint known for prior to
Water.
Gion? Yeah, so it's now known for water.
And then the water.
But she's saying GM, which is 100% right. And when I was growing up as a kid, GM moved out. It was a one industry city, and because of that, we are now known for water. Now, this is what I don't want to see happen here. We're warehousing. We are a commuter community for a large portion of us, with the exception of some of the agricultural areas. And I just want to make sure that we can get to a point where we have a diverse community of public workers.
So transportation, money for transportation comes from the federal government, but then and then that's given to the state, and the state doles it out to the counties. And then the counties, the RCTC, they're the ones who help identify the most, the projects that they think they can get done, that are ready to go. And then in addition to that, we have SB1 that the state promised us was going to fix all these problems. The problem is, when they did the SB1 funding, they decided in the last 2 years that they weren't going to do any more freeway miles, they weren't going to do any more road miles. Everything was going to be focused on bike lanes and things like that, and light rail. Folks are in high-speed rail, right? They can't get high-speed rail from Bakersfield to Madera.
Yep.
You think they're going to get it from up there in LA all the way down to what? Coachella Valley? No, they're not. It's already $102 billion going to 111, and they've got not 1 mile of track ready. So it's a terrible project. And it's not what Riverside County needs. What Riverside County needs is their share of the money that we send up to the state. And the reason we're not getting that is not because we have one Republican down here fighting like hell for it. It's because we have 6 other Democrats out there who are not helping this region get the stuff that it needs to fix that problem. So yes, we need more lane miles on the I-15 in order to get to the point where there's enough volume to be able to get those cars. But we also need jobs in the region too, because that will take commuters off the street. And we can't get those jobs going down the road we're going down right now.
Thank you, Kevin. Before you
Keep forgetting the format.
Yes. What is your plan to address the Blue Water Renewable Energy Storage Project, formerly known as LEAPS? Yeah, a project that is near and dear to our hearts.
Right, I understand that. So the LEAP project was turned down, rightfully so, because of the issues that have been brought up already. You're talking about high-power transmission lines going right over the worst part of our brush issues here in California, or here in the southwest Riverside County. This new project, the issue is that our energy policy in California doesn't give us enough electricity to power California.
That's right.
For the future especially. But there are other ways to do this without having to do this and be intrusive into the communities where they're going to put it. So the infrastructure issues, the building issues, the part where you have power lines going over valuable habitat and also dangerous land is not going to go away. And those things haven't been addressed. So, they refigure what it is, but the bottom line is the same thing. I can't support it like this because it's not something that this valley, it's not safe for this valley, and it's not something I think we need. I think there are other ways of doing this power distribution in California. And we're not going down those avenues. We should be seeking out different ways. So, for right now, this project, to me, can't happen down here. I don't think it's feasible.
Thank you. Brian, same question.
Yeah, so I actually have to admit, when I went at you the last one, I agree with you on this one. I think this particular project is not right for the community, and it pains me to say that, to be entirely honest. And the reason being is because, as I've kind of talked about already, I think renewable energy is our future. We are clearly having issues with power already. This is not going to get better as the population shifts. We need to find new ways to service the communities we already have and the people that are eventually going to come in. And this can be a multitude of different things, right? This can be, continuing to make sure solar is available to people and continue to make it affordable for people. This shouldn't be something that someone that is extremely wealthy should just be able to afford and put on their house and then they're good. This should be something that every house should have access to. I know not everyone loves the solar idea. I know not everyone loves the idea of tax giveaways or whatever you want to call it, but the reality is that the more of those things that are on houses, the less likely all of us are to suffer electrical outages, things like that. It also helps build that electric vehicle future we're talking about. And for me, it comes down to finding all available sources. Hydroelectric, where available, should certainly be implemented. Anything with wind, we certainly see some of that in Coachella Valley, things like that. We should continue to find places where we can put that, where it works for all. But the goal here needs to be simple. Finding those sources that are something that can be renewable, last as long as possible, doesn't have the negative impacts on the climate. It certainly isn't causing the wildfires that burn down towns such as Paradise that I had to deal with when I first moved out to California 7 years ago.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes.
And before you leave, one last question, and that is, what will you accomplish that will directly impact the Temescal Valley community and its residents?
Education. This is so important. I went to Norco High School on Monday, and basically what it was an economics core class that, they bring in different candidates. Kelly, you may have done the same thing. If not, I highly recommend it. But what it does is it gives the candidates an opportunity to talk to the students, and it gives them a chance to teach them what they know about running for office and all the things that go with that. That sort of class alone should be in every freaking district in this state. We need a more informed electorate overall. Just as an example, this past June was the primary, right? How many of you guys knew that the sheriff, the district attorney, those things were decided back then because they were getting like 4 or 5% of the vote because no one turned in their primary ballots. That's scary. I want to make sure that we have a robust democracy where everyone can learn and get better. And that goes through everything else too, math courses, make sure we have anything that someone wants to do, they should have the opportunity to do it. And that goes for people that are in school right now, all the way to people that are in their 40s, 50s, etc., trying to find a new career for themselves. It is the most important piece of my puzzle. So obviously I'm very excited to talk about it. So happy to answer your questions afterwards that you guys may have.
Thank you. Same question. What will you accomplish that will directly impact the Temescal Valley community and its residents?
All right, well, besides working on energy and water policy, one of the passions I have and one of the promises I made, whether I was in the Assembly or the Senate, I had no intention of going to the Senate, by the way, is when they redistricted it, messed up my Assembly district. So in order for me to keep the communities I have, that's what I was going to do. And I'm taking that same issue with me, and that is the wildfire issue. I have 35 years in business. I went out on wildfires. I took strike teams out on wildfires. I understand that issue. I understand the agencies that are involved. I understand what is a state resource area, what's a federal area. And we have all of that in this district. So one of the things that we have is a prevention problem, and the other problem is right now, because we have such a prevention problem, we have a suppression problem. And that is when we get out there, when the fire starts, what do we have to throw at it? So this past couple of years in the legislature, I'm on the emergency management and public safety committees. We really looked at how well staffed and what kind of initial response we can do to get Riverside County covered better, and other counties also. So we got us a new Sikorsky helicopter and over at Emmett Ryan, and they can be anywhere in this district in less than 10 minutes to jump on and initially start a fire. And that's where we have to be able to do a good job on suppression. The other part is fire prevention. We have a lot of areas around here that have fire prevention issues. And I've been working with the CCC and some others to be able to address those. So that's one thing that within this 12 years I'm going to fix. I'm going to help fix that. I can't do it by myself, but I'm going to help fix it.
Kelly, before you leave,
Yes.
if you can sum up.
Sum up.
Yes.
2 minutes.
Sum up in 3 minutes, the whole issues with California.
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Oh, in 2 minutes.
This is tough.
California is a mess. It isn't entirely bad. And that's why I hate coming to stuff sometimes, because it's like we're just delivering bad news. But it isn't all bad, but we do need to fix some things. One of the things we have to fix, that for me, I've had 35 years of leadership training. And it's not the kind of leadership where people are over here and people are over here and we fight against each other. It's where we take people and solve a problem, no matter who those people are. And those were my crews. Those are the people I worked with. I was on other people's crews, helping, to solve problems in communities. And that's what my leadership experience tells me needs to be done. But that's not how it's done in California. In California, you got 3 over here and 1 over here. And these 3 make decisions without any regard for the input of the people over here. In California, that means 10 million people have no representation when we're dealing with issues. When we're talking about energy policy, it's going to force you into an electric car, and then have them tell you, you can't plug that in because we don't have enough electricity. When we have an energy policy, water policy that says, hey, we're not going to build any more dams, or we're not going to do desal plants, we're just going to tell you to use less and less water until we're just all the way out. Those aren't problem solutions. We have solutions to those. They've been developed by engineers. We need people that will get up there and implement these solutions. When we got $100 billion, we should be able to fix these things. And you know how much went into water this year? Water storage? That much. None. So the number one thing we can do to fix some of our problems right now is get our water storage projects started. And we're not doing it. We need more people up there. We need more balance.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
You can shut up in 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I'll start by saying this. I actually have been a lifelong independent. I'm running as a Democrat, but I actually have always been an independent. I actually agree with you on some of the comments about the left and the right just not being able to work together. There are certain things, and you may have seen some of the things I've said out there, where I'm extremely passionate about, and I'm extremely set in my ways about. But what I do believe in is that I can help anyone. I can help anyone to live a little bit better life. And whether that be things such as working with people like Kelly to solve the forest fire issue, the wildfire issue, it's an absolutely vital issue. Don't panic. You're all good. I'll let you get close.
There we go. Youngest person in the room.
Exactly. Just the youngest kid. But anything from wildfire, things like that, to being able to make sure that our kids are going to school and they're safe and they're learning and doing the things that they need to do, to making sure that all of us have the jobs that are not just paying the bills but are fulfilling and the things that we really want to do. My whole thing is trying to just make everyone's life a little bit better, and that is the thing that I think can bring us all together at the end of the day. Whether you be a Democrat, an independent, a libertarian, whatever it may be, everyone just wants to live in peace. Everyone just wants to live a better life, and that is how I can help each and every one of you, no matter whether you vote for me or not. So,
Thank you so much. And sharing your time with us. It's most impactful, and thank you. Okay. Without further ado, we have Oops. Without further ado, we have candidates from the Western Municipal Water District, Districts 2 and District 3. And I just wanted to let you know, we had invited Gracie Torres to participate in this event. Unfortunately, there was an accident and she was unable to come here tonight, so we're missing her. But without further ado, we'll start in our agenda. And we're doing this alphabetically, so Al, you have the first up and the 3 minutes.
Al or Lopez?
Al Lopez. I think that's Al Lopez.
Hello, Al.
There you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Al Lopez. The ballot name would be S.R. Al Lopez. That's the way you live. I'm born and raised in Texas. I lost my parents when I was about 8 years old. I was raised in orphanage, group homes, those kind of things. But, you know, I struggled. I worked hard. I went through my education. There's 5 of us. You know, we all very successful to this day. You know, we're all over 80. I'm 81 years old. All my brothers. We're all over 80. We lived a good life. We worked hard. And when I was in the school, the Boy City, I was involved in the politics of the school. Who got punished for what? Who got paid for this? Who did this? Who did the kitchen? Who did the dairy? Who did the hogs and all that stuff? And that stuck in my mind at the very beginning, and I was just a young person. I joined the military. I finished my career in the military, and I settled in Corona, where I got married to a great family. I've been in the area since 1964. I've been in Corona all this time. However, in the last 10 years, I moved to down here in the Temescal Valley. During the period that I've been involved in my community, which is approximately 45 years, I served as mayor of Corona, mayor and councilman. I served a number of years on the respective Western Municipal Water Districts, representing the Corona area, Division 5. The new redistricting put me in a different division, so it gave me an opportunity to continue my public service. I've been involved in supporting communities, supporting seniors, health, education, employment, environment, and youth. And all this time, I've always been involved. There's nothing else that I have ever done, you know, but to be part of my community. And I want to continue that. I want to continue to serve in a different district, which I am now involved in water issues. I've been involved in water issues for almost 30 years. And I feel that my experience, my background, and if I may, my ability to reach out to the community, to be part of it, as I've always been. I've been on that side, I've been on this side. I've always worked together with the community, and I respect your opinion. And I hope that my abilities will be able to serve you in the district that now I'm running for in Division 2. So thank you very much for being here.
Ahead, but just for clarification, for Division 2, Al Lopez is a candidate, as well as Gracie Torres, as well as Paul Rodriguez. So there are 3 candidates competing for Division 2. Division 3 is Brenda Dinstead, and she is separate. So I just wanted to clarify that. She's the only candidate for Division 3. Paul, the stage is all yours. Separate issue.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I think it's a tremendous opportunity that Mayor of Temescal Valley has provided to us to actually engage with candidates. This is the first of its kind. Hopefully, you'll be able to continue doing that. Just a quick correction. There is an incumbent and there is 4 challengers in Division 2. Al and I are 2 of the challengers that have been participating in candidate forums. The other two challengers are running the campaign. I feel, although I've been here for a long time, I feel like I'm the best kept secret. Tracy and I, my lovely wife here, moved here in 1994. We call ourselves the Originals in Wild Rose because we went through the model home, we chose a site, we read the CCNRs, we put our deposit in. Tracy was 8 months pregnant, we had a 2-year-old at home, and we just wanted to understand what is going on in the community. We chose to buy out here, coming from Orange County, and we made this our home for a number of decades, really. Shortly after we moved in, I was interested in the community and the neighborhood, and there was an opportunity to join the Homeowners Association and the Architectural Committee. So I said, sure, okay, I'll do that. A year later, there was an opportunity to be on the HOA board. Okay, I'll do that. I want to learn my community. Tracy was doing the same thing through PTA and other organizations. A couple of years later, there was a position on the Temescal Valley Water District Board. A member had passed away. They interviewed 5 community leaders, specifically from the HOA. I was one of those interviewed, and I was appointed. So I was invited to join the board. From 1998 to 2022, I served on the Temescal Valley Water District Board as a director. I was the vice president for 10 years. It's not a title that I promote, but I appreciate it that my fellow colleagues asked me to take that leadership role. My job at Temescal Valley was not an individual job. I was one of 5 members. It was important that every decision we were making together. So my job was to make sure that our rate structure was sound, that our finances were appropriate, and that we were always charging a rate that was commensurate with what the customer was receiving. We worked as a committee. When it was inappropriate to take a rate increase forward, we never brought it to the board. There had never been a vote against a rate increase because we worked it out beforehand. When it was appropriate, we would take it to the board, having fully vetted and adopted the rate increase that you see that is in place today. I appreciate the opportunity to serve the community. I moved out of the community, so I resigned and retired from the board in February with 3 years left in my term. I felt that was appropriate. When redistricting occurred and there was an opportunity to come back in at the regional level and apply everything that I did at the local level, fully encompassing now the Temescal Valley Water District boundaries. At first I said no, I researched it, I understood what the issue was, and I'm here today to ask for your vote and to ask for your support. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am the separate but equal, I guess. All right, so my name is Brenda Dempstead, and I thank you so much for being here tonight. I know that you all have busy lives, and I'm so excited because, you know what? Out of all of the forums that I've been to, you guys, hands down, are the largest crowd. So I'm really excited. And I don't know if it was the draw from all the other candidates, because nobody really cares about water because it's not sexy, but hey, I will take it all day long. So why am I here? I am here to talk to you about water policy, why I've been sitting on the board. I was first elected to the Marietta County Water District. I live down in Marietta. I'm a Marietta resident. I am a Riverside County native. I was born here in Riverside, and I moved up and down the state with my family. My father was a service member for CAL FIRE, which used to be called CEF, and now it's CAL FIRE. So I moved up and down the state with my family, and we landed in San Diego. I actually attended most of my high school and college education down in San Diego. I wanted to continue to be a service person for what my family, my mom was in Parks and Recs and worked for the city of San Diego. My father was a firefighter, and so I needed to do public service, so I actually went into law enforcement. And I got my post certificate, and I served in law enforcement for over 13 years until I got married and decided to start raising a family. And I know everybody in the room is gonna love this term, my husband, okay. Alright, my husband was also in law enforcement, and we decided that we could not raise our family with 2 of us being in shift work and not guaranteeing that one of us could actually be home. And so we moved back to Riverside County, where I could be a stay-at-home mom,
And that worked for a little teeny tiny while until we bought a brand spanking new home in Marietta, and then we couldn't drink the water coming out of the tap. And it was due to high copper levels that were infiltrated, and it turned out after 5 years of litigation for the entire community of 161 homes in a class action suit, it was subgrade copper that was purchased by the sub out of Mexico and installed in our homes. And so I got very empowered by this because I refused to raise my children with something that was unsafe and unusable, what it was being coming out of my tap in the great United States of America. And that's where my career began in water, and I've been doing that ever since. So I moved back to the area in 2001, and here I am now running for my 6th term on Western Municipal Water District. I'm currently the board president, and I've served in that capacity for 5 times since I've been on the board. I've been the vice president, I've been the secretary treasurer, and I am now sitting as the metropolitan representative representing the entire region up in LA, so the big dog. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Rotation, Al, please, if you would be the first one
There
to
we go.
receive the question. And the question is, why are you interested in serving on the Western Municipal Water District Board of Directors? And why are you the best choice?
I ask my question every time I run for election, why am I doing this? I served on the respective water district, Western, for 20 years. And during those 20 years, I learned a lot. I made a lot of friends, connections, business associates, and I was kind of like, I fell right into being an advocate for providing quality water and a reliable source of water for our respective community and the Inland Empire, if you may. I'm not going to say that I'm the best person. I'm not going to put my hat and say I'm the best person. I will say one thing, that I am retired. I have the time to participate, to go out and advocate in your behalf with legislators, future legislators. I'm glad they're here to listen, because we had an assembly person years back that did the same thing. He came and learned about water. So I have the time. I've shown it. Today, I sat for 6 hours listening to the Coastal Commission go through the approval process for a desalination project up there in Doheny. So I spent 6 hours in front. It was, virtual on my
On your computer, laptop?
yeah, my two. Yeah, and so I mean I do have time.
Okay. Paul? Same question.
This is a good one. I am not a political animal, that's why I made a joke. That's kept secret. I've never campaigned, I've never fundraised, I've never given speeches, I've just done the work. The community has had faith in me, they've come to the meetings, they know what I can accomplish, and I've been reelected every single time. Western is the regional agency. I think they do a good job. What I think that Temescal Valley, maybe there'll be a question later on, what I think that Temescal Valley is, they're at a crossroads. So when I joined the board in 1998, there were 1,000 homes. There were 7,000 connections when I retired in February. That level of growth is what has fueled our efficient system and kept our costs down. That is going to change over time. You're not going to see that growth. We are going to need, Temescal Valley is going to need to partner with Western Municipal Water District to help attract investment, help attract new funding, help attract new water sources. We can't do that on our own backs. And having somebody as a representative on Western who is familiar with Temescal Valley, who is familiar with all the issues that we face over the last 24 years that I've served, I think is critical at this time. That's why I'm running, and that's why I hope to win your support. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Okay, so here it is. Water is passion that I have. It is why I got, because of my personal situation, because I was raising a family, because I was a single mom,
I wanted to make sure that my kids were safe. I wanted to make sure that everybody else's kids were safe. And I wanted to make sure that we were doing the right thing for the community and what we all pay for. We all deserve and pay for quality water to be delivered to our homes and have that done in an expeditious manner, in a reasonable manner, at an affordable price. And that is it. I have had the opportunity, I've been hit up a number of times to run for a higher office. And here I sit at Western Municipal Water District because this is a specialty. This is something that takes years to get entrenched into, to understand, because as the famous saying goes, right? Whiskey is for drinking and water is for fighting. So that's exactly it. You have more litigation on actual water policy in the environment and what's going on, and it's really important that people understand what that commitment is, what that experience is, to continue to fight for the rights of water for the Inland Empire, for this region, for all of you. And that's what really matters. So I've been passionate about this for a long time. I have no intention of leaving this. I like water. I like dealing with it at the local level, at the regional level, at the state level, and at the federal level, because I'm about bringing federal dollars home so we don't have to pay for everything and it's not carried solely on your backs. I want our fair share. I want our dollars to matter here.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question goes to Paul.
Yeah.
Is this the 15? Do I get to answer the 15?
What's the biggest issue facing the water district today, and what should the board be doing to address it?
I feel like I have the inside scoop on this one.
You saw my computer.
So Temescal Valley has been working on trying to secure local water sources. We are 100% state water. That's where our potable source is. Over the last 15 years, we've self-funded a recycling system so that we can water golf courses and landscaping and common areas, and we wouldn't have to continue our reliance upon state water. Over the last 5 years, we've been working with the Medford Coldwater Groundwater Sustainability Authority. I was chair for those 5 years. We were looking at partnering with the city of Corona and Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District to make sure that we were securing local water sources, our groundwater basin in Medford and Coldwater. When I retired, we had just completed our 5-year plan. I felt like that was a good time. We're going to need to be investing in the local water system over the next several years. That's what I was referring to when I talked about Western and how important Western is going to be in helping Temescal Valley build their water reliability.
Thank you. The same question, what is the biggest issue facing the water district today?
Oh,
And what should the board be doing to address it?
Oh, Lord, can I have my opponent who didn't show up tonight actually get his 90 seconds too, because I can keep going. So basically, you know what, look, here it is. When I started on Western's board nearly 16 years ago now, in 2006, Western Municipal Water District was 100% rely upon state water project, imported water into the district. We are now at a 60-40 ratio because it's about diversifying our portfolio and having multiple straws into what we have, right? Reliability is what you guys want. Tell me, any of you, raise your hands if I've not been good at my job. Do you have water coming out of your faucet every single day that you turn it on? Right? Okay. So really what this is about bringing local funding down here to make sure that we continue to do these projects. It's about regulatory constraints at the state that is tying our hands when it takes my agency, ready, 17 years to get a water rights permit off of the Seven Oaks Dam to capture runoff that's being released after storm events. That is a problem. Why are we having to do that in order to get projects done and get water stored into the ground for investments that you folks pay for? Why are we having to do that? The drought is a problem. The state, zero money being allocated. Zero money of that $100 billion surplus is being allocated to water infrastructure and bringing water down here to Southern California. This is a problem.
Thank you, Ray. Same question, what is the biggest issue facing the water district today? And what should the board be doing to address it?
Well, the biggest issue is Sacramento.
Yes, regulations.
That's the big issue right there, you know, as it expressed before, you know. It's so difficult to get funds down here. It's so difficult because of regulatory involvement in governmental requirements, regulations. But that's not the end of it, you know. Western can continue. You know, Western has reserves. I looked at the budget, I mean, at the finance papers that were issued in June. Western has something like $225 million in investments in one portfolio. In another portfolio, they have 20-something million dollars. So, you know, we need to utilize your money because it's the ratepayers' money that is in the investment pool. We need to use that money to build our own projects here so that we can minimize having to do with a lot of regulations that come from Sacramento. Western can pursue.
Sorry.
Western can pursue that on their own. We don't need Sacramento as much as it said. It's helpful to get their funding from them, but we have the funds here to do something locally.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the third question goes to Brenda,
Oh, fantastic.
and that is,
Here we go.
what is your plan to address the Blue Water Renewable Energy Storage
I've
Project?
been waiting
for
for this. I've been waiting for this one. This is the question I've been wanting to answer all night. I actually sit as a board member on Ledge 11. I got to see this presentation. I have been a part of this. I have been opposed to this. I stand with the community of Lake Elsinore, with all of you guys who stand at this is a problem because they've not done the regulations. Their application, Nevada Hydro received a letter from FERC that disqualified them and dismissed their application back in December of 2021. They have now come forward again because Nevada Hydro has now changed it because there's too much stink on leaps and they want to get away and walk away from that project, and now they're calling it this new company to try to take over and re-engage with the community on this. Millions of problems with this. And by the way, I want to correct something that was said earlier because it really, really bothered me. Your congressman has written opposition letters and took it up with FERC at the federal level to oppose this project. I want you guys to be very, very aware of it. He stood tall with the citizens. He stood at these community meetings when there was pushback from the citizens about doing eminent domain and taking people's homes out. And here's my other problem. It's going to take 15,000 acre feet in order to run this project. Where are we going to get the water? Y'all are conserving. I've asked them where they bring water. Are they going to truck me from Nevada? I can't get an answer. So I understand this project. I was so excited when I saw this question. So this project is a lot of problems. When I sit on Leslie's board and I continue to do that, I will continue to fight this project.
Thank you.
Same question. Yeah, what is your plan to address the Blue Water Renewable Energy Storage Project for
I was
Muslims?
at the MAC meeting when it was presented, and I've been doing some research on this project, and I see that there's a lot of opposition to it. I, as a board member, the first thing I would do, first time, like an executive decision, I would propose a resolution that no Western Municipal Water District resources be expended in behalf of this project, period. None, no involvement at all. Because if we have water, the water's going to stay here in our district. I'm not going to ship it out, you know, for the benefit of an opposing project that has, you know, folks that are not in favor of it. So that would be my first resolution. spend any resources on the project.
Thank you, Al. You would address the same question?
I'm going to take a slightly different approach. I feel like I should face the other direction. But first, I want to thank Director Denstead for her leadership as she went through this process through the committee level. I also want to recognize the tremendous effort that this community has had as they've gone through the original LEAPS project. It clearly had some issues. I attended the same ACT meeting, and I felt like while it isn't the same project and that project isn't ready for prime time, there have been some modifications. I am cautiously optimistic that the community will continue to come together with the voice to make sure that if that project moves forward, it fits with the community. We had some conversations earlier about electricity. I'm concerned about electricity. I'm concerned about the ability to continue to serve the public. I don't have the solution. I'm concerned about the water quality in Lake Elsinore. I don't have the solution. I don't know that this is the solution, but I'm not prepared to say under no circumstances should we ever consider a hydroelectric project until we see the details. So I do intend to look at that very closely. I intend to work very closely with Director Denstead if I'm successful and make sure that whatever is moved forward has the complete support of the community. So I can't tell you that I'm opposed to it right from the beginning. I'm saying that I'm open to having the discussion. I'm open to looking at the solutions that the community comes together.
Thank you. Now, if you would address the last question, and that is, what is your plan to improve the water supply and cost of water to the Temescal Valley? What is your plan to improve the water supply and cost of water to the Temescal Valley?
Well, first of all, Western is a wholesaler, and you get water from your respective water agency, whether it's Temescal Valley or Elsinore. I mean, they buy water from us, so we have to work with those respective agencies to improve the quality of water, to provide the best source of water that we can for you. So as a director on Western, I would encourage Western to work with your respective water agencies to make sure that you receive the best service you can. And the other thing that I would probably do is look forward to trying to eliminate the pass-through fee that you see on your water bill. I hope that in some way we could work between the respective agencies to improve the efficiency of both operations so that we could eliminate or draw down that pass-through fee that you see on your water bill that says pass-through from Western. It says Metropolitan, but it comes through Western, so I would work on that in your behalf.
Thank you. Thank you, Al. That same question, which is, what is your plan to improve the water supply and cost of water to the Temescal Valley?
I'm going to talk really fast because this is a really big topic. In terms of rates, at Temescal Valley, I feel very strongly in being able to defend those rates. My job as a board member is to say, we've done our due diligence, we've created the models, the rate that you pay is exactly what you're responsible for, not a penny more. It's a very detailed process that we go through. One of the things that we did at Temescal Valley, as most jurisdictions do, is they adopt a 5-year rate. You know what the first year is going to be, you guess at what the subsequent 4 rates or years are going to be. Most jurisdictions just let it ride. Each year they adopt that new rate. What we did at Temescal Valley, every single year after the first year, we went back to committee and we said, are we performing? Are we maintaining the system? And are we still planning to do everything that we were planning to do? And in the instances where we were able to adopt a rate that was less than legally permissible, that's the rate that we adopted. So I would expect to continue to do that at the regional level. With regards to water supply, I think we're going to, I've mentioned it before, we're going to have to continue to invest in groundwater and local water resources. The Groundwater Sustainability Authority is our vehicle for doing that. We're going to have to partner with a regional agency like Western again, to bring in funds and to write grants to be able to do that. We can't afford to do that here. If we're going to continue to be lean and mean at Temescal Valley rates, we need to help to attract dollars in. So, I think that there are some significant opportunities over the coming years that we have to look very closely at, and having a representative that knows this area on the Western Municipal Water District Board is absolutely critical.
Thank you.
Okay, water supply and costs all day long, there it is. So, water supply, what are we doing? I'm involved right now, currently, with a regional group that's working on water supply for the entire region. If we can make a project happen over here and it frees up water for over here, that works for everybody. If we're all contributing dollars to it, then it's not burdensome on one particular area. It's being spread over a greater area because the benefit is being equally shared one way or another. Either we're freeing up water supply over here to move it over here, whatever the case is. We realize that we need to look at stuff differently. The other thing that Western is doing right now is Craig Miller, our general manager, is involved in Solve the Water Crisis. It's a coalition that we're mounting up and down the state of California to educate the population and educate our state legislature from making mistakes and not paying attention to what water supply is. The problem with the state right now is that they don't understand. They've got two hands and they're not talking to each other. On one side, they're telling all the cities, your RENA numbers, your housing numbers need to go up because we don't have affordable housing. And on the other hand, all of you existing homes are telling you need to conserve water voluntarily 15%. That doesn't match. And it doesn't make sense to you, and it doesn't make sense to me, because that's exactly what I keep asking the state. What kind of message are we sending out here to folks when you guys are boosting all these numbers and adding all this population in, but you're telling the existing who've already paid for the system, you guys have already paid for that investment? It's ridiculous to me. So I will continue to fight that. At Metropolitan, where rates are being set for the wholesaler, I fought. We started out at double digits. We got it down to 5% increase because we have to pay for transportation and energy costs. Energy and water is the most expensive thing to move, and it's the highest, third highest energy user in the state to move water. So.
Before you sit down, I'm going to ask you for your closing statement.
My closing statement. Well, you know what? I want to thank you folks for coming out here and for sitting through a very long session to hear about a lot of different politics that are going on from the federal level to the state level to local water districts, which don't typically get a lot of attention. So I really appreciate the fact that you are here, you are willing to listen to our message, to sit and talk about water policy with us, to understand what these issues are and how relevant your input is to us. We want to know what people think. We want you to understand what our challenges are. We want you to understand the restrictions that are put on us and the problems that we face. And we want you to be a part of the solution with us. We're here to fight on your behalf. That's what I've always advocated for. I've been a single mom for a long time. Remember the was-been. Okay, so I've been a single mom for a long time. The mighty dollar matters to me. The mighty dollar matters to me. That's why I've fought for all kinds of grant funding. Western Municipal Water District has been one of the most successful metropolitan member agencies to receive grant funding. Right now, we've received $9.4 million this year on your behalf to facilitate projects, and we have another $21 million pending. That is where it matters. That's where it matters. So I just want to let you know I am here. I will be available to answer questions if you have something that I'd love to talk water. I'm a water nerd all day long, and I'm happy to discuss it. And I thank you so much for your time, your attention, and I appreciate you all being here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you please come up and do your closing statement?
Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you, folks. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's about you. Is it what President once said? Not what we can do for you, but what you can do. Wait a minute. It's about water conservation. We can only provide you with the resources to be able to help you reduce your water. Water conservation is part of you. It's part of us together. So we need collectively, whether I'm on the board or not, you still have the board there to look up to ask questions. But you also need to be involved in advocating for good policy. When the time comes for public hearing, participate. Express your concerns, your voice, your opinions and stuff. So I hope that you will, having been here, will learn a little bit about our perspective so that you can share with your neighbors. Please read my candidate statement, it has a little bit more information about me. I will say again that I have the time to serve. I have the time to go to Sacramento. I have the time to go in the community. I have the time to go to community meetings wherever there's an opportunity to share what Western is doing so that you can be more informed. It's a very important position, but it's not about the director themselves. It's about everyone together. So collectively, we need to work. We need to improve the water system. We need to provide for the future. We enjoyed, when I first came on the board, it was said water was not an issue. It is now. So collectively, let's work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for coming out. I think it's important not only for you to have an opportunity to see us, but for us to be able to gauge your reaction, and hopefully you'll share your questions after the event. I'm a reluctant politician. I have no aspirations for running for higher office. I did what I could do for the community for 24 years. I had accomplished everything that I needed to. Shortly after I left, I started getting calls that said, "Paul, would you consider running for Western Water District?" They've redrawn the boundaries. They're now fully encompassed Temescal Valley. And I said, no, I think I prefer to just leave it to an incumbent and just let somebody that's doing the job do the job. I spent a couple months doing interviews just to understand what the issue was, what the concern was, and I became very concerned. I started attending committee meetings and I started attending board meetings in May. I continue to do that and I continue to be concerned. I actually was kind of angry. What we hear is that, folks this has become very political. This is a nonpartisan office. I have always been in the minority party on my board, and I've never had friction. I've always been able to build consensus. My board has always been able to work together, and it's never been about me, it's been about us, and it's been about our community. That's what I'm hoping to accomplish at Western. I think it's so critical. I'm looking for folks that understand there's a difference between big money and big ideas, but they understand there's a difference between the difference between platform politics and actually performing. That's really critical, and it's important to understand style over substance. I can't compete at a political level, but what I can do is I can compete at performance. I can compete at representing the community. I can compete at delivering on all of my commitments. I hope that you'll understand that. I hope that you'll give me a chance, and I hope that you'll bring as many questions to me as possible. I'm getting great feedback when I'm knocking on doors. Folks are telling me what they think, and they're reaffirming what I believe. Thank you for your time.
Again, I want to thank all of you who have participated this evening in this first candidates forum. I know personally that I've learned a great deal from the candidates, from their presentations, and I'm thankful that they came and shared their time with us, as well as shared their thoughts on all the issues that are facing the Temescal Valley. And quite frankly, Temescal Valley is growing. It's something that is forming, and with the right type of candidates, it will develop into what we all expect it to be. So thank you so much for participating in this event. And with that, we're going to conclude this meeting. And you also have the opportunity to share thoughts with some of the candidates. I think a bunch of them will be staying here and being able to talk one-on-one, so please take the opportunity to express your thoughts. I know under this forum, we were a little bit tight on time. It was, and we put all of the candidates under a tight timeline. I'm glad that I didn't have to go through that timeline, but they answered and did such a wonderful job. We really